Alright guys, welcome back into another video. Today we are making a video about 1.1 because we're kind of approaching. It's gonna be here in a week, and we're also gonna have an event during 1.1 and also a prelude of the event. I'll make a video about it. Maybe it'll be really short because there's not much to say about it, but we'll talk about it. We have a little discussion. Rest assured it's not gonna be a 50-minute video, right? So first of all, 1.1. In 1.1 we're gonna have 4 banners. Phase 1, 2 banners. Phase 2, 2 banners. Phase 1, the 2 banners are going to be 1 rate up. So one from the standard banner gets a rate up banner, and which is Voyager. And then the limited one, which is Melania. Melania is going to have her rate up on their limited. And the banner is Melania with Sotheby and Balloon Party, and Voyager with DK and Necrologist. Now, let's start with Voyager. Voyager rate up is it's kind of good that she's so close, because a lot of people are building their team right now. So managing your pulls is really important at the moment. Now let's evaluate the banner. The banner itself is not that good when it comes to 5 stars, because we have DK that everybody has for free at this point on 1.1. Unless you start the game on 1.1, you get DK for free at 8 days of logging in, whenever you start. And Necrologist is like an okay unit. It's not like used too much. She can be a little bit of like healing only on the ult, and only if you have the prayer already triggered. The prayer makes it so you don't die, but she doesn't have a direct heal on her skills. So it's a little bit of a meh. You can't really pull for Necrologist if you don't want to do some weird or some niche sacrifice strat with door, right? That's for another video. That's a strat to do, and it's not that reliable. It's kind of a meme niche. But Voyager herself is really good, because Voyager is one of the best supporters for those builds that need to crit. She applies confusion on her on the second skill of the second level. She applies confusion, which is critical resist -25, so she makes critical related characters such as Lilia or Regulus crit even easier. Right, and then she applies a counter, and on her I1 after she gets 3 action. So after you use 3 cards with her, let's say, she does Chorus Ensemble. Chorus Ensemble is extremely good because she makes everybody, if there are enemies after the caster takes action, inflicts 1 round of silence on all enemies that cannot be dispelled. On I3, she also applies, on top of that, she also applies Seal, which makes them not be able to use ults either. So she applies a lot of crowd control, a ton of crowd control, and she also removes 2 Moxie from the target, and it's a 1 target attack, so it's not a mass attack. It would be fucking ridiculous otherwise. But if the target is in confusion, so if you do the ult after doing this one, you also get more mental damage dealt, right? So Voyager is a really, really strong unit, but she's not a DPS. So if you don't have Lilia and you don't have Regulus, then maybe Voyager is not that good of a pick. But if you do, and you have left, if you're your spender or you're a whale, then you can pick up Voyager. It's going to be a great addition for your Lilia team and Regulus team. I don't know why I was getting confused. Now, if you're free to play, leave this banner alone. And if you're free to play, it depends on the team that you have, right? So if you have a lot of healers and you need a DPS and you want it to be Melania, you can easily pick up Melania, because Melania is a really good unit. Now, is she stronger than Centurion? No, of course, but she's not weaker than Centurion. It's just a different type of DPS, right? She's a main DPS. She wants to attack all the time. You want to do the ult first, so you trigger the Skillful Thief, and while in the Skillful Thief, you add Moxie stealing from your cards, from this card exploitation, and from the other card you get leech rate, right? So you heal a little bit and you gain 1 Moxie. Now on this one, on the exploitation, you have the Skillful Thief state steal 1 Moxie from the target, but the level 2 adds a Moxie -1. So you steal the Moxie and then you also deplete 1 more. So you end up building a lot of Moxie, right, with Melania, which is really good of a mechanic, because like if you remove the Moxie, the enemy can do the ult as easily or as fast as if you didn't do it, right? So that's the main mechanic for Melania. She also has the established plan layer, which makes the incantation do more damage. It's what is it? Incantation might increase by 12%, right? And she gets multiple layers on Insight 3. When she casts its ultimate, you get an additional layer on established plan, and when so it's two layers, right? And then she does the usual plus 8% on the Insight 2. Now the ult is high damage, right? But the problem is for Melania, you can't do the critical strat. You can't do much critical unless you have, maybe you're watching this video and you have Tooth Fairy, then maybe you can force it. But she has a really, really low amount of critical technique. So you can't really go too much critical, right? So you're building a team that doesn't rely on critical, so you can put many flex characters in it with her. You can do Melania Shamane, you can do Melania and then wait for and then get Shamane. You can do Melania Pickles, because Pickles is always good. He's a P friendly. He has it's the next phase, by the way. So you can pull Melania. If you're free to play, you can do this. If you're not free to play, you can. You can get Pickles, or as a healer, you can use anyone you want. You can use Medicine Pocket, you can use Balloon Party, you can use Sotheby, but Sotheby is not. But let's say Balloon Party and Dick and Medicine Pocket are the most used in this case. So the two banners are basically the first phase. They're really good, especially Melania is really good. Voyager is only good because of Voyager, but Melania is good because, like, okay, Sweetheart is a DPS, which you're not going to use because you're pulling for Melania, right? Or if you're not pulling for Melania, then Sweetheart, and try to get Sweetheart just to have a base DPS, you could, but Sweetheart is not as good. She has a little bit of mechanics that do a little damage when the enemy is of the opposite sex. You do more damage. But Balloon Party is where the banner shines, in my opinion, because Balloon Party is an extremely reliable and flexible healer that you can put everybody and everywhere, right? With everybody. And she applies counters, she has reliable healing, her ult adds more balloons, which are the triggers for the healings and stuff like that. You also get a little bit of sturdiness. Now, so this banner is really good if you want to pick up Melania, because you also get a healer, right? So as a free-to-play, this banner good as free-to-play? Yes. If you don't want to skip Melania for any reason, if you need just a DPS and you're waiting to get a DPS, then Melania banner is really good. If you have Centurion, don't get Melania. If you have two DPSs, don't get Melania. Skip and get the next ones, right? So you don't need DPSs. Think about the team building. If you have two DPSs already and you need like a healer, then you don't need Melania banner. You don't need another DPS. If you have Lilia and Centurion, then you need Melania. But if you know how you need to build two teams, right? The two teams strategy would be that you need two DPSs, two supports, two healers, potentially, right? So if you're missing a second healer, let's say you have, or second DPS, if you have Lilia, but you have Regulus, let's say, right? Regulus cannot fill too much the role of a main DPS. She can, but you need to cater towards her a lot. You need like Voyager, you need Tooth Fairy to make her crit a lot. You don't need Tooth Fairy, but having these characters make Regulus do way more damage, because Regulus could also be used as a support. So the problem is that that way you will miss a DPS, and if you're missing a DPS in that case, because you want to use Regulus as a support for another team, then maybe you can get Melania. But you need to be careful on what you're choosing here, because like the value is what you see right now and what I just told you, right? So it's a good banner, but if you're going for different types of DPSs, if you have already Centurion, if you have already two DPSs that you can use, then you can easily skip Melania. Maybe you can fish for some Balloon Party copies, or if you don't have her together from the first time, but you can risk getting the Melania. So be careful on your pity. Check your pity, how much it is. So let's move on phase 2. Phase 2 is Druvis X, and on the standard rate up, Druvis X and click EO banner. Like Druvis she's okay. So unless she's your wife or something, and then you can pull for her now. You're waiting to pull for her now, so you pull them and that's fine. But for like value, you don't want anything here. I'm sorry, but you don't want anything here. X is fine, but you probably have enough from Sotheby banner. So click is okay, but you probably have enough, or you don't need them, right? You don't have to pull on this banner. Especially, Okay, Druvis does like petrify and stuff like that. She's kind of good, but she's mental, so you cannot do a full mental team for now. I don't think we have any mental healer that is planned, let's say. You could. No, I think Glasurus, it's an option, but it's not a recommended one by me, right? But especially with Pickle Banner. Pickle Banner has extreme value. Pickle Banner is crazy. Now, all of you that were waiting for Pickle, you are winning the lottery because this banner is ridiculous. You have Pickle, which is an exceptional unit. She's is one of the most flexible characters as well. You can put it wherever you want. Baby Blue, which is one of the strongest mental support characters, and then you have Diggers, which is one of the strongest. And I would argue is also better than Beacon Bloom, in my opinion, is a little bit better. He doesn't have the seal, but he has Nightmare. Pickle is insane. And Diggers is insane as well. So look at Diggers. Diggers applies Nightmare for 1 round on his ult, and if they are debuffed, it lasts for 2 rounds. So you can chill for 2 rounds without doing anything. They can't even act, right? You have 2 debuffs. One applies Weakness, which is damage bonus minus 25, and on this one you have a debuff which is global, which is universal, reality and mental death at the same time, minus 15. So you can put him wherever you want. It also inflicts terror, which is Moxie minus 1 when you have 2+ level, which is Moxie minus 1, even reduces Moxies, right? He also gets a shield on I1 and I3, just for him on I1 and for all of the allies on I3, which is also really good. So this character is extremely good. He's mental, so you can use him with Melania, because Melania is mental, and you will find value with this. You can, in theory, pull, if you're a spender, you can pull for Melania and Pickle, and you can actually make a team just from these two. You can make a team from scratch, Melania DPS, Pickle support, or Diggers, if you don't get Pickle, and Balloon Party, right? You get the full package on this one. Now, it depends on who you want to use. Of course, you want to use Pickle instead of Diggers, or you can switch them on and off, depending, like in Limbo, depending on who you're fighting. If you want something more, if you want to apply Nightmare, let's say, if you need more crowd control, then Diggers might be a better choice in that situation. But Pickles is really, really good, and let's go check what it does really quick. He doesn't want to act too many times. He wants to act like Regulus. One turn you don't do anything, and then the next turn you act, because you gain clarification on proposition. And clarification on proposition is the key of his kit. It gets enhanced if you have clarification on proposition. So that's one of the good option and for a supporter. And that's why you pick Pickles to go with different teams, such as Black Dwarf. If you want to pull for Black Dwarf, Pickle is an insane addition, but it's one of the most flexible characters as well. So whoever teams you put him on is going to do great. He also does a lot of damage, by the way. It's one target attack, but he applies damage dealt plus up 30% for all allies for 2 rounds. If clarification is up, the duration increases by 1 round. So he has buff, he has additional damage he does a little bit of damage, and then he dispels, right, on level 2 on the ball, Judgment of the Ball, plus penetration rate, right? He gets multiple layers of clarification and proposition, and every time clarification and proposition triggers, you get +1 Moxie on him. So it's going to be even easier to get the ult up. Even if you're not doing anything, because that's going to trigger, especially on I3. You stay here like this, +1, +1, +1. You get your Moxie. Meanwhile, the DPS uses all the cards, and they do the ult and they do their mega damage, and then you come back plus 30% attack, right? So these banners are really, really good, but especially Pickles. In my opinion, my personal recommendation would be to skip Melania, skip Voyager, skip Druvis, get Pickles if you want to make a secondary team, or you are trying to get the Black Dwarf. For example, Black Dwarf in 1.3 is going to be crazy good. It's going to probably replace Eternity when it comes to DPS, pure DPS, because Eternity can heal herself, so she does a little bit less DPS, right? So you can use Black Dwarf, do a lot of DPS, and use Pickles which is basically almost like the best option for Black Dwarf team, and then use whatever healer like Tooth Fairy or whoever you have or all you want, right? Black Dwarf comes in 1.3, so it's gonna be a little bit of a wait, but in the meantime, you can use Pickle as a supporter to your DPS. If you don't have a DPS, then maybe you can consider getting Melania. Melania is a good DPS, so you can use her. She's actually pretty good. She's not Centurion, because Centurion has a higher critical value, so you can build her crit really easily. I believe she has one of the highest critical techniques in the game. I think she is even higher than Lilia, even though Lilia bases everything around critical. And she heals that. So Centurion is the better option. So if you have Centurion, you don't care about this banner. But this banner is decent value, big, nice DPS, and really, really nice healer. But this banner is where it's at, in my opinion. Pickle's banner is where it's at, because you get whatever you get, whoever you get here, it's a huge value for your account. You have to think about your account, right? So Pickles, even if you don't get Pickles, but you pull on his banner, you're gonna get, if you get one, even one diggers, it's extreme value. So keep that in mind. In my opinion, just if you're free to play and you need a DPS, go Melania. If you don't have Centurion, you need a second DPS, go for Melania. If you're free to play and you're not planning to do anything on 1.2, right? Go for Pickles. If you are if you're a spender, go for Pickles. You probably have already 2 DPSs, right? Because you went for a knight, probably, if you're a spender. If you're a high spender, if you're a normal spender, maybe just go for Pickles or just skip everything, right? If you're going for Black Dwarf, then get Pickles. If you have Centurion, skip Melania. If you're going for the poison team, then skip everything and get the 1.2, right? But this is the 1.1 video. Yes, we have to keep in mind the concept, who's coming in 1.2 for pool planning. If you're a whale, you don't care, you get every character. If you're a spender, depends what big spender or low spender. If you're a low spender, then you might want to skip everything and just get you probably have a decent account right now, so just go for 1.2 characters instead, one of the two, depending on if you have Sotheby or not. If you're a big spender, then you can get Pickles. You can get Pickles and then check what you want to get on the 1.2, because 1.2 you get Changeling, which if you have Sotheby, you kind of have to get Changeling, otherwise Sotheby is kind of wasted otherwise. And then almost everyone is going to pull for Tooth Fairy, which is the craziest healer in the game. She's going to enable even more everybody that goes with crit, and even those that don't go with crit will almost be able to crit reliably with Tooth Fairy. She has a Dispel, and she has a confusion debuff as well that makes it so it's easier to crit. She can crit on her heal as well, so she's gonna be really, really crazy. Her passive heals and her passive also for passive, I mean I1 and I3 also applies all extra critical rate debuff, right? So keep 1.2 in mind, but in 1.1 the banners are these. I don't think there is anything else I can add. If you want to know more, if you have other questions, if you have like some question for your account, let's say, oh, I have this, and this. Should I pull or should I not? Feel free to tell me in the comment. Leave a like if you like the video. Subscribe for more. Follow me on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Jakazin. I still have to learn how to say this properly. But for this video, it's over. Thank you for watching and see you next time.